Hi, everybody. Welcome to Worldview. This is Chris Greco, your host for the next 30 minutes. We'll be talking about different parts of the world. And for the purposes of short term video and short term episodes, we're going to talk about geographic data. And I think this is really important because I'll tell you what's happened is that I've been watching the media, and the media constantly brings up a lot of things having to do with different countries and how the United States does this. Look at Australia, look at UK, look at all these, and look at the number of whatever, fill in the blanks, traffic accidents, gun stuff, uh, uh, overdose, anything that, all of a sudden the U.S. is, oh my gosh, look at this, we're so bad. And the problem is that we do not talk about density. And I think this is really important. And there's a couple of ways that we can talk about density. And what we're going to talk about today is square miles and population. And I think we have to take a look at the density of people. The idea that the more people per square mile, or the more people per mile, um, we're going to have. There's going to be um, a lot more challenges with that. I mean, we can talk about different aspects having to do with things like property, water use, um, carbon dioxide, all these different things, pollutants, all these things have to do with population density. So the first country I want to talk about is Australia, because I just read a news article, and the Australians were all about, oh, look at us, and then look at the U.S. Oh my gosh, it's so bad. Look at the situation, whatever else. Well, okay, so let's compare apples to apples. Let's compare Australia to the United States. So the first one we're going to talk about is square miles, and how do we determine the the area around here? Now you need calculus to figure out the actual, honest to goodness, no kidding, square mileage here, uh, because we're going to talk about nautical miles, not statute miles. In fact, what I should do is maybe I should do statute miles. Do they have statute miles? No, they do not. They just have nautical miles, which is fine. So nautical miles a little bit less than a statute mile, but that's okay. We'll just do it that way. So we'll do nautical miles. So the way to do a square footage, square mile, square whatever you want to talk about. In fact, do they have feet? They probably do have feet, don't they? Yep, square feet. So let's talk about square feet. And you measure this, right? The the length by the length by width, and that gives you area. And it's in square. So because you have miles times miles is square miles, feet times feet is square feet. So let's talk about this for a second. So we're going to go the highest distance here, or the most distance for the actual width. So we're going to do here. So we have basically 9 million, about 9.5 million 9.5 million feet. So we're going to go to our calculator. We'll bring that up, and we're gonna do that here so that we can figure that out. So we're just going to do what is it? 99562.141. That's good enough. Okay, times. Now we have to do here. Whichever you want to call this, length or width or whatever it is. So that's 12,873. Again, we'll go back and we'll do times 12,873,606. So that's what we have here. It's a lot of square footage, right? So now we have to go to the population. And what we're going to determine is how many people per square feet. How many people per square feet? If you want to do this in miles, then it would be easy enough. You could do this. You could take this, change it to nautical, change it to miles. Good, it's got miles. And you see that the length here is 2,438 miles. So we'll do the same thing again. We'll take 2,000 438 times this distance here. This is not going to be real accurate, but it's not. It's going to give you a pretty good indicator. And we'll do this again, which is 1888 equals about 4.6 million miles. So let's take a look at the population now. So we're going to take a look at the population here, and we're going to figure out the population of Australia. The population of Australia, I did a Google search, 24.98 million. Okay, so we know that's 24.98 million. So we're going to go back, and we're going to do 24. This is about 4,600,000. We'll just leave it like that. So it's 24.98. Remember 24 million. Whoop, go back one. There we go. Divided by, and it was remember, this was about 4 million. So we'll say it was about 4.6 million. So we'll say 4,600,000 here. So million, and that equals, so we'll just call it 5 people per mile, per square mile. So 5 persons per square mile. And so that's Australia, 5 persons per square mile. So now what we do is we're going to go to Google Earth, and we're going to go to a place like the United States. So we're going to go to the United States, do we'll do as many countries as we can in the time allotted. So we'll have it that way. And that'll be fun. Okay. So we'll do it that way. So we're going to do, we'll go north. I want this thing to point north. Sometimes it's a bugger. All right, now we're just going to do continental United States because I think that's the best way to do it. Not going to worry about Alaska, Hawaii, or anything else at this point in time. Although you got to remember, Alaska's got about 700,000 people, and it's a pretty big area. But still, we're just going to do continental United States. So same thing. We're going to do in miles. I'm going to do this, and that is going to be about 2,500. So we'll do it that way. So we'll cancel that out, and we'll do 2,532 times, and then we're going to do this side here, which is going to be, we're going to go all the way down to Texas, and that's going to be 1,548. So 1,548, 1,548, and that's going to be equal to about almost 4 million square miles. So it's almost sorry, it's going to be about 4 million square miles, 3.9 million square miles. So now let's cancel that out, and now we're going to do now we're going to take a look at the populations. So I have population of United States, and the population here as census.gov gives us about 334 million. So that's what we're going to go with, 334 million. And we're going to take a look at this. Now, what I'm trying to do is I'm going to try to take that 334 million, right, divided by, remember it was about, what was it, about about almost 4 million square miles. So we're going to say 4 million square miles just to do it that way. 83.5. So we have 5 people per square mile. In Australia, we have 83 people, right, per square mile in US. So 5 persons per square mile in Australia, 83 people per square mile in the United States. As a matter of fact, if you take a look at the population of New York City, that's about 8 million people, which is one third the population of Australia. One city, United States, one city is one third the population of Australia. So what does that mean? Well, that means that if you wanted to sit back and say this is a density, and you wanted to sit back and say, all right, we're going to compare apples to apples with different types of deaths, traffic deaths, whatever it is, you either have to even up. You have to even up the population or the square miles. So basically, what happens is this: you take, if I took 83.5 divided by 5, basically, I get 16.7, or almost 17. So what I have to do is I'd have to multiply everything at a weighted factor, and this is important within the within that area. It's called weighted factors. And I think that that's what we talk about. So you can weight those factors so that you compare, you try to standardize the the population with each country so that each country does that. So let's do another country. So let's do we're going to do the population of Russia. Population of Russia is 144 million, right? But the what is uh, the square miles, right? So we'll take a look at this real quick. And again, this is how, people just they don't quite get it. They don't quite figure out, how to be able to weight this stuff. And they try to compare again, apples and whatever, apples and you know, cars instead of apples to apples. And that's a real issue. So here you have Russia is huge country, right? This thing is just voluminous. So what we're going to do is we're going to clear that out, and we're going to take this square miles here. So the square mile is going to be this. All right, there's your. We're going to measure this all the way around here. We're talking here. I'm just going to stop it here. 3,832. So we're going to take that square mileage here, and we're going to put it in our handy dandy calculator. So 33832. We'll just leave it like that. Times, and then we're going to do a width. The width on this thing is unbelievable. So we're going to do it. It's way up here. I got to actually bring it down here, else it's not going to work. And so we're going to take it from here all the way down. Notice how it curves. I mean, it actually embodies the curvature of the Earth. 2848. So 2848. And again, this is estimated, right? 2848. So we're talking 10 million square miles, and that's an estimate. That's an absolute estimate. 10 million square miles. Now remember Australia, right? 4.6, whatever it was. US about 4. We're talking 10 million square miles. So now let's take a look at this, right? We'll take a look at this area, 10 million square miles. Well, 11 million. And what we're going to do is we're going to take that population, which, if you remember, but we'll go back to it. Population of Russia, 144 million. So 144 million, and we're going to go back 144 million. We're going to take it over 11 million. So 144 million, 44 million divided by 11 million, and it's going to be 13. So you have, again, weighted factors, right? So you have 13 people per square mile. So so you have 13 people, right, per square mile in Russia. 13 people per square mile in Russia. 83 in the US. 83 in the US. 5 in Australia. So I mean, once you get into this density aspect and you start to use the weighted factors whenever we talk about that, then all of a sudden it starts to you start to kind of see that maybe the United States is not as bad as all the media would love to, love to throw that out. That look at Australia and look at this and look at that. All right, so let's do another one. Let's do the one of the big countries, right? Because everybody sits back and says, "Well, United States, do you realize that the United States is number three in population? Number three in population in the world for a country. China's first, then there's India, and then there's the United States. So, I mean, sit back and think about that just for a second, and I think it'll start to get in. It'll start to make its way in. So let's talk about China here for a second. So here's China. China, interestingly enough, so we're going to do again. We're going to do the width and height, right? So here's China. So it's 2747. So move to the calculator. 2747. Okay, times, and then we have to let me move this out of the way a little bit so I can see the country. There it is. And well, this is Mongolia here, so I don't want to measure that. So we'll measure again the highest one here. So we'll do this one. And that's 2136. So 2136 times 2136. And that's about 6 million square feet. About 6 million square feet. What is the population of China? So the population of China, 1.393 billion. We'll just say 1.4 billion. Okay. So over almost a billion and a half people. So we're going to put that in there, 1.4 billion. And this is about 6 million square feet. So we're going to get 1.4 billion. Whoop, back one. So there's 1.4 billion, right? Divided by 6. What do you call it? We'll just call it 6 million. 6 million square feet. So 233 people. 233 people per square feet or per square mile. Okay. So you have 233 people per square mile in China, 13 people per square mile in Russia, 5 people per square mile in Australia, and 83 people per square mile in the US. So I mean, you have all this. So let's do this from scratch. Let's do it from actually looking up the population aspect. So we're going to take a look. We're just going to go to a Yahoo site. We're just going to go to population of Sweden. Okay, population of Sweden, 10 million. There's 10 million people of Sweden. There's 8 million people in New York City. 8 million people in New York City. There's 10 million in an entire country. 10 million in Sweden. Let's take a look at that and see what that looks like, because Sweden is the one that Sweden is the one that's saying how about how great they are in the environmental aspect. Not, but we'll just play their game. So this is what we're talking about here, and we'll make sure. I just want to make sure. Okay, so let's take a look at Sweden. So where is Sweden, right? So we talk about that. Here's Sweden right here. It's right here. It's right next to Norway. A lot of people don't realize where Sweden is. Finland, which was just given the NATO, it looks like that they're gonna have a fast track here to NATO, which actually has a border with I call it the Soviet Union, but basically Russia. I mean, there's Sweden right here, right here. So let's take a look at Sweden. Let's take a look at square mileage. So we're gonna go this way. We'll go We'll just go this way. Up, up. So 897 miles. So 897 miles. 897 times, and then we'll do it this way. We'll go from the deepest area if I can do it. Some. Yeah, we'll do it this way. It's fine. 190. Actually, it's probably more than that here, but that's okay. 190. We'll do 190. 190 miles this way. So times 190 equals 170,000 square miles. About 170,000 square miles. And what was the population? 10 million. Okay? 170,000 square miles, 10 million. So we're going to do 10 million divided by 170,000 there's 58 people per square mile in Sweden. Again, this is all estimated. 58 people per square mile in Sweden. Okay. So do you understand how all that works? Do you understand how what we're trying to do here? So basically, if I were to say there's 83 people per square mile in the United States, 58 people per square mile in Sweden. If you're going to try to weight those factors, then what you do is you take basically 58 over 83, and basically what you have is you have 0.69 if you're comparing Sweden to the U.S. So if you're comparing Sweden to the U.S., then the U.S. basically you would take that 83 or you take that whatever population times 0.69. If you're doing it reverse, if you're trying to take U.S. and compare it to Sweden, then you would take 83 divided by 58. So in Sweden, if you have a data in Sweden having to do with people, then you'd have to multiply that times 1.43. And again, crude. It's a crude weighted factoring to be able to figure out, try to compare apples to apples. So, and in some cases, it will not make much of a difference. All compared on the data that you get to be able to compare that. So, I mean, and this is very, very important to understand that weighting factor is it's crucial in order to provide valid data. And this is where a lot of researchers do not do that. They present just basic numbers, you know, and this is something when you talk about diversity of population too, and you talk about, how many people in Sweden are different races. What is the census say about individuals within Sweden about different races? So now you have to do that, and you have to figure out that, you have to figure out that density. And it's interestingly enough, probably the US, in comparing Australia, UK, all different types of countries, probably has one of the best census departments of any of these other countries. They do a great job of data aspects. They do it of data parsing, and I'll discuss that in the data show, which is coming up on Thursday. So I just wanted to point out the differences between uh, between what we're talking about, because sometimes what happens is that we lose sight of that. But when all of a sudden you're sitting there saying, oh, in Australia there's 5 people per square mile, there's 13 people per square mile in Russia, 233 people in China, 83 people in the United States, and 58 people in Sweden per square mile, all of a sudden it starts to hit home here, about where we are in the world and what goes on from the standpoint of density analysis and all these different things that go on. Now, this can even go further. We can even go further with this. We can say, where are the main cities, in that country? We know where some of ours are. We have Chicago, We have New York, Los Angeles. So I mean, you can go through and figure out just by looking at different San Francisco. We have all these different cities. A lot of density within those cities. A lot of density. A lot of times, what happens is the United States puts out data, and that data is like for everything. Whereas what happens is that you have to start taking into consideration those dense cities and say, okay, you know, how many traffic accidents are there? How much gun violence is there in the cities? And all of a sudden, you'll see that where population is densest, that's where crime is the most. That's where you have all kind of situations when you have crime and kind of gun violence, everything else. Major cities are more prone to that because people are more densely packed in that area. And because of that, that's when you're going to have issues having to do with crime and the rest. So that's what we're talking about, and that's what I want to make sure to get across today. Um, we'll make sure we hit these high points in shows in the future too. So that about does it for me and the worldview. But I just wanted to show you and all these tools that I just showed you today are totally and completely free. I mean, when we talk about Google Earth Pro, I mean Google Earth Pro is totally free. The tools that are here, totally free. There's nothing you pay for to be able to find out more about the world. I mean, it's just something that you can do. I've marked, some stuff in Belarus, what's going on there. Some things in Ukraine. You can actually put pins in there, so you can see what's going on. There's Bakhmut right there, center area. So there's a lot of things you can do. Ukraine capital, Ukraine air base, all these different areas. You can sit back and take a look at this, and you can make it so that it conforms to what you are looking for in the way of data. The data show puts a lot of effort into finding out these different data tools, but the main aspect of the worldview is to show you how this geographic data can be used to be able to highlight areas where where you can do more deep dives into data having to do with geographic and cultural aspects and be able to make sense of what is being said about countries other than your own. And that's very, very, very important. So, on that note, this is Chris Greco. Thank you so much for watching Worldview. I really appreciate everyone that watches the show. I mean, I don't have an audience of a gazillion people, but I do appreciate you watching the show. I do appreciate you taking something from the world aspect and being able to apply it to what you're doing. I think that's so important for us because we get so isolated, so into ourselves as American citizens, that we forget that there's a world out there and they are having many of the same problems we're having. It's just the fact that they're a smaller country and they may not have the density of population that we have here in the United States. So until next time, this is Chris Greco. Thank you so much and take care of yourself and make sure that whenever you look at something, try to take a worldview. Take care.